Hello, my name is Sheila Sterrett, and I'm the Northwest PA Regional Manager for U.S. Senator Pat Toomey. Today's Youth Civic Engagement Symposium's topic will focus on Erie County government. Erie County is one of 67 counties in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and has an estimated population of more than 280,000 citizens. Erie County has 38 municipalities, which include 2 cities, 14 boroughs, and 22 townships. The executive branch of government is governed by a home rule charter and an administrative code that sets forth provisions pertaining to the operations of the government and is ran by the Erie County Executive. The remaining elected officials in the executive branch are the controller, the coroner, the district attorney, the sheriff, and the clerk of courts. The legislative branch of Erie County government is made up of a 7-person council, each elected to represent a geographical district within the county and serves a 4-year term. Council is responsible for passing the county annual budget, which in 2020 was more than $455 million. The judicial branch is made up of 9 judges serving the Erie County Court of Common Pleas. Under oath, they provide general jurisdiction to ensure fair, impartial, and expedient delivery of judicial services to the Erie County community. On today's panel, we are joined by 4 Erie County employees that are important leaders to the day-to-day operations. Each of them will provide a brief introduction of themselves. First, I'd like to turn it over to County Executive Kathy Dahlkamper.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you for this opportunity. And I wish we could be together in person, but as we all know, we can't be. As the county executive, I'm elected to county government and I serve a 4-year term. I'm currently in my 2nd term. The county executive role is limited to 3 4-year terms, and so I'm currently in year 7 of this elected position. As a county executive, my overall role is to head up the administration of county government. So underneath my jurisdiction would be functions that cover all of county government, such as the finances and the human resources, as well as the IT, and then certain departments, the Department of Health, the Department of Planning and Community Development, the Department of Human Services, actually the Corrections Department, which is our jail, the library system, which includes 4 branches plus the Blasco Library, and the Department of Public Safety, which would include our 911 center and our emergency management operation. So lots of different jurisdictions under the county executive, and then we work with all the other elected officials to provide that finance and that HR and that IT function.
And next, I would like to turn it over to Councilperson Kim Clear.
Hello and welcome to all of you today. I am actually a school teacher by day and I am a county council person by night. I was elected just this last year and in November, and I started my term actually in November. So I am still in year 1 as a county council person for District 1, which represents Mill Creek. And some of the functions of the position deal with working with a 7-member council. And we look at ordinances and resolutions and in order to keep a balanced budget for the county. And also we work with the county executive and all of the different areas that are in the Erie County government in order to implement changes and also make sure that they are functioning the way that they need to be functioning.
And next, I'd like to turn it over to Director of the Health Department, Melissa Lyons.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I am the Director of the Erie County Department of Health. I've been in that role for 7 years. I was hired under County Executive Dahlkamper as the Director of Public Health. However, I've been in public health for over 20 years. Throughout the 7 years that I've been here, I primarily oversee 4 divisions in the health department, which I'll talk about later on. And it was 75 staff members. However, you will have the pleasure of me intermingling some conversation around the pandemic, which is why we're all so pleasantly wearing masks here. And since the pandemic, we've hired a number of employees, and that has taken us over 100 employees as of now to help us with the COVID-19 response in Erie County.
And next, I'd like to turn it over to the Chief Clerk, Doug Smith.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm the full-time administrator for Erie County Council. I've been in this position since 2003 after 22 years in the television industry. I serve as administrator in the sense that I help County Council put on their meetings to organize the legislation that comes before them in their meetings. I oversee the elections division in Erie County, as well as the Human Relations Commission. County Council is by nature a part-time job, so I'm relied on to keep their office organized and running and to provide them with the information they need to address their statutory requirements, such as passing a balanced budget.
And now we're going to turn it over to some specific questions for the panelists. First, I'd like to address one to County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper. What interests you in becoming an elected official? What is the county government's responsibility for? And what specifically is the county executive's role?
Well, in terms of why I got involved in public service, it's for that exact reason, to serve the people of Erie County. I first served as a member of the United States Congress, and I ran for Congress because I was frustrated with our representation at that time and felt there was so much more that could be done for our region. After serving in Congress, I realized how much I really loved this work of being a public servant, and I really loved the community of Erie County. As Congresswoman, I served seven counties, and so I really wanted to focus on Erie County, and county government particularly, because county government really is about the safety, the well-being, the quality of life for Erie County residents. A lot of people don't understand county government because we are a very complex kind of branch of government. We cover so many vast areas. Right now, we've had a lot of attention because of this pandemic. The health department is a county government department, and of course, you all know of the work, hopefully, of this health department during this time. Normally, the health department's doing a lot of other things like testing beach waters and testing your restaurants and taking care of immunizations. But in a time like this, they've really come forward. Also, public safety. They do have the 911 center, which is very busy every day. But with this pandemic, what we call our emergency management division, which usually comes in with maybe there's a flood or if we had a tornado, has been intimately involved in this pandemic every single day since the COVID-19 hit the boundaries of Erie County. And then county government is there to help with economic development. Through our Department of Planning, we're helping all of our municipalities, whether you live in Fairview or Corey or Northeast or the city of Erie or any of the other 38 municipalities in Erie County. County Department of Planning and Economic Development is helping your elected officials, your mayor, your township supervisors, your borough managers, help them with their community, your community that you live in, to make it a better place for you. And so county government is involved in so many different facets of our community at large. And it is a branch of government, like I said, that's often misunderstood, but it truly is imperative that we do good work for the quality of life that each one of you want to have. And overall, we want to make sure that you, the young people, not only can find a good career here, we want you to be able to stay here and have a good life in Erie County. And that's a big goal, I think, for every one of us in county government.
Thank you. And our next question is going to go to Councilperson Clear. You are a teacher, a mom, and now a county council member. What made you decide to run for county council, and how do you juggle all of those responsibilities?
I don't know. No, I'm teasing. I will tell you, juggling, I will answer first. But juggling has been, I think, it's been a learning experience. And I have been able to separate what I do inside the classroom with what I do in county government, and as well as with my family. So it's been boundaries. It's been saying no to some things. And it has been a lot of people understanding that I'm really committed to doing something for the greater good. And I think that that kind of leads me to the reason that I decided to run. You know, I'm able to, as an English teacher in Mill Creek School District, I teach English 11th and 12th grade, and I'm able to make a difference in the lives of 100 kids a day. But I really was yearning for something more. I knew that I would be able to positively impact the lives of so many more if I could try to do this. And that's really where the calling came from. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to, you know, be a part of the positive rhetoric out there. And I believe in Erie County. I believe that this is a place where my students and my own children can choose to stay and to live and to have a job and to thrive. So I feel that, you know, all in all, it was my students. I wanted to do this for them, to create a quality place for them to call home and to stay. And I wanted to be active in coming up with some out-of-the-box ideas, some global thinking in order to bring that here to Erie County. So yes, it's for service. It's for having a greater impact. And I think it's our duty as citizens to see to the needs of others. And as a teacher, that of course comes naturally in a classroom, but I wanted to transfer that out to even more.
Thank you. And our next question is going to go to Director Lyons. What does public health mean? And what does the Public Health Department do?
So public health is something that touches every single one of our lives every single day, whether we know that or not. I always say that public health starts when you wake up in the morning and you may turn your water on, you may brush your teeth, you may eat your breakfast. We as public health practitioners had touched every piece of that, from having safe drinking water to fluoride in your toothpaste to a safe food supply that reaches your refrigerator and your table. So public health is really about population health, and populations are how do we keep the population healthy and thriving, whether it's a physical thriving, mental health thriving, emotional health. And we do it from a perspective where everything would touch you as an individual without you actually knowing that. Seatbelts is a public health intervention. Speed limits, public health intervention. Not drinking and driving, not texting and driving. All of these things are public health interventions. So we say that our job is to prevent injury, illness, disease, and premature death throughout entire populations. It's often done on a policy level or law level, like I mentioned, the texting and driving, or seatbelt laws. Locally, we have 4 divisions in the Erie County Department of Health. We have the Environmental Division. It's primarily regulatory. They would do restaurant inspections to make sure the food that is served is safe. They also do pool and beach water. We call it recreational water, making sure that it's safe for swimming, whether it's chlorination and or keeping bacteria out of our beaches. Our nursing programs do a variety of things, such as immunizations for school-age children or new Americans that come here as adults and don't have immunizations. We provide for that. We do maternal child health, making sure children are growing up healthy and thriving. In our health promotion and quality improvement, that would be around tobacco-free communities, Clean Indoor Air Act, so no smoking indoors. We're also tackling vaping right now to prevent young people from starting to vape. We also do healthy foods access, such as farmers markets, grocery stores converting into healthier options. And then public health emergency preparedness and epidemiology, which are now household words, had not probably been household words prior to the pandemic. In public health emergency preparedness, we do long-term planning as far as influenza pandemics, hurricanes, mass fatalities, which could be things such as a pileup on I-90. So this pandemic has been one of our things that we never hoped to have to tackle, but here we are, and I'm here to tell you that we do have some plans in place that we've been using and executing. Thanks.
And Mr. Smith, your role is twofolded. You're not only the county council clerk, but you're also the clerk of elections. And we all know that elections and going out to vote is very important. What we want you to focus on is why that's important for senior high students to go and vote.
Voting is a sacred activity in our country. It's the way we settle arguments. In its raw, most basic form, voting is power. Maybe you don't know that only 4 out of 10 people in the entire world live in a free or somewhat free country. So when you think about it, you have a sacred duty to those 6 out of 10 that aren't able to vote, that aren't able to choose. When you don't vote, or when you don't put the importance into that activity, you're giving away your own power. And to me, I don't ever want to do that. And we look at ourselves and we wonder, does my vote matter? One only has to look as far as the last 2 county executive races in our own county that have been settled by less than 1,000 votes, in some cases less than 300 votes. Or in our last presidential election, where about 44,000 voters in Pennsylvania made the difference in the Electoral College awarding those to President Trump. And we look at another election coming up that'll likely be just as close. So in terms of importance, we've all heard about why it matters. We've heard about how people in our country have died for this right that we sometimes take for granted. The main thing I'd like you to take away with you is just how important it is that you yourself be involved, that you don't give that away to someone else. Because when you don't vote or you don't show up, the elections still go on. The decisions are made, just not by you. It's akin to always having to buy lunch for somebody else and they get to pick out what you're going to eat. And that's a bit of a trite example, but when you multiply that times taxes, times law, times the direction the entire country is going, with each decision, it becomes more important to you. At 18 years old, your life looks long, and the world looks perhaps a simpler place than it might in some years. But your role has never been more important. So I ask you to consider that and not just register, but show up. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, as a follow-up, can you tell the students how they can register to vote?
Yes, it's simpler than ever. You can go online to votespa.com and you can register to vote electronically. You can also do that on our website, www.eriecountypa.gov. It's a simple activity. You can use paper if you want as well. Those forms are out there at libraries and state offices, but it's easy.
Thank you. Our next question is going to go to County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper. When you look back on your life, what did you study or what skills did you develop that most important prepared you for your role in government?
So my degree is in dietetics, which doesn't normally equate to people going into politics. It was not something I really thought I would ever do. In fact, I ran for office when I was 50 years old. And before that, I'd never even worked anyone's campaign. And my, I guess, call to each one of you is to always consider running for office. And that may be when you're younger, and that may not happen until you're 50 or even older. But each one of us can give of ourselves to our community to try to help our community be better. Whether it's the school board, whether it's in your municipal government, whether it's county, state, federal, there's a role for you. And if you decide not to run, then I ask you to think about helping somebody else who you believe in run for office. It's not easy to run for office, but I think it's important. So when I look back at my life, my degree in dietetics has actually helped me quite a bit, especially as I'm overseeing a health department. It helped me a lot when I was in Congress as we were passing the Affordable Care Act. So I brought that to this office, but so many other experiences in my life have helped me be a good leader, I believe. And that's what I always tell people when they say, well, what should I study? I said, study people, study your community, get involved in different things. I've been involved in so many different areas. I ran a nonprofit, I raised 5 children, I helped with the schools things, the church things that went on, and all of those things brought different experiences to my life that I think have helped me to understand the world in general, and then to be a better elected official, because I bring that life experience with me as I'm trying to make really good decisions for the future for all of you.
And Councilperson Clear, what skills do you think were important to bring you to this role?
You know, I completely have to second everything that Executive Kathy Dahlkamper has just said. You know, I think life experience. I studied in college political science and English, which actually does lend itself in somewhat to working in government. But in looking at my education, I believe that English has, of course, made me a better communicator, a better writer. And I think most importantly has been a better researcher, because it is my job to, as being on county council, to research any and all ideas that are coming forward to us, making sure that they are going to meet our budget, if they are going to work. So that research has really helped me. And in political science, honestly, you know, understanding the role of government and the role that it plays in our world. You know, as Melissa Lyons mentioned earlier, you know, your government actually affects you from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. And your county government actually has a lot to do with that. Another skill that I feel that I have developed over time is listening. And I know that sounds strange, but I learned as a teacher that listening has been much more important sometimes than me speaking or giving a some kind of a lesson. Looking someone in the eye and listening to what they have to say, whether it is with my students or whether it is the constituents that are out there, listening to what they have to say, to listening to what their needs are. And I think that has really helped me more than I ever thought that it would in taking on this role in county government. Empathy, I think, has also been something I was raised on, and the gift of service as well. Service is something that I have done since I was very young, and I think that has helped me be more empathetic in my daily life. And I think courage would be the last trait or skill. I think that's something that's worked on. Running for county office or running for any office is not an easy task. You need to be willing to stand up for what you believe in. You need to be well-versed in your subjects. You need to be willing to go to bat even when it's not popular. And I think that has been very, very important for me. Even when it's not popular, even when I know I may be disagreeing with a friend of mine, knowing it's the right thing and knowing I can sleep at night, knowing that I made the best possible decisions I could for my community and for others.
Okay, thank you. Director Lyons?
So to answer the question around the skill set that I have and the education that I have as a public health director, I have an undergraduate degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. And I worked primarily in laboratories, but I, at a point in my life, decided I wanted something different, and I went to join the United States Peace Corps. And I served in Cameroon, West Africa for 2.5 years. I traveled from 1998 to 2002, actually. 2.5 years of that was service in Peace Corps. Another piece of that was service for a French non-governmental organization. And then I did AmeriCorps and Vista. I give all of those to you because those are opportunities to dabble in or get your feet wet in what it's like to do service. And that service, you will be able to tell very quickly if you want to be in a type of service position, whether it's United States Peace Corps, which led me to understand that I have a real passion for public health. I worked with underdeveloped countries, places that didn't have clean water, as I've mentioned to you, frankly didn't have toothpaste, didn't have indoor plumbing or good hygiene. I watched maternal child health issues be very dramatic, babies dying very young. And I knew that small interventions made huge impact. And so that travel, that world experience, that life experience that you've heard about is so very important to help each one of you form your decisions and where you're going to fit into the bigger picture in our world. And there is so much room for each and every one of you to find that passion. And when you find that passion, you will know. And then that passion will drive you to the next place that you want to be, where you can be impactful. And I hope sitting here in Erie County as the public health director, while some of the things we've had to do over the past few months have not been popular, they've impacted people economically and personally, I know deep in my heart that the passion that has been put into that by myself or the individuals that I work with every day at the Erie County Department of Health is because we care about each and every one of the people that live in Erie County, and we want you to live a long life so that you can find your passion and provide the service and do the things that mean the most to you.
Thank you. And Mr. Smith, what skills did you develop that you have found important in your daily job in the government?
I think the main thing is I studied communication in school. Writing and speaking well, at least clearly, is one of the things that I found to be most helpful in this current position. Another thing is being able to walk through fear, trying things, not be afraid of failure, because a lot of the mistakes I made through my life, I've been able to turn into experiences that have helped me and help me today. I think about when I was in a different industry, I decided to become the vice president of a union. And the truth was, it was a little extra money and things were tight. But in the end, it taught me about dealing with different kinds of people. And in many ways, it was one of the reasons that I ended up here in Erie County government, just for some things that happened. But the point was that we all take these experiences that happen to us, and they all add up to where we end up. So we mustn't be afraid of trying new things, even if we do them poorly, because those are the experiences that add up through life and serve us well. And I've been someone that's always enjoyed serving other people, and in this role that I'm in now, I have 7 supervisors that I serve, and part of my position is not only serving them, but being a conduit to other branches of government, something that I enjoy immensely. And those sorts of activities are things that I, picked up in bits and pieces through school and through different jobs. So it's amazing how these experiences can add up to serve us in very unfamiliar territory. So be fearless. Go out there and dance a little.
Thank you. And for our final question for the panel, when you took on your respective roles with a certain amount of preparation and awareness of what you were getting into, what is something you had to face that you didn't expect, and what best prepared you to handle it? Kathy Dahlkemper.
I'm going to talk about 2 different things that have occurred over the last 7 years since I've been county executive. The first one, and probably the one that's most obvious to all of you, is to deal with a pandemic. None of us, those of you watching this and none of us on this panel, I don't think ever dreamed we would be in the situation we are today, even 6 months, a year ago. But it has been an honor to sit alongside Melissa Lyon and her team. Again, I see the quality of people that work in county government like I've never seen that quality. And I think that has helped immensely to know that you have really great people working on this issue every single day. And I think what has best prepared me for this is honestly maybe being a mother of 5, because you just never know what's going to happen, and life throws you all sorts of curveballs. And maybe to Doug Smith's point, you have to be fearless sometimes, and you just have to jump in and know that you're doing the best thing, that you're really trying to do the best thing. And I know we go to bed every night knowing we've worked really hard, and we get up in the morning and we do it again because we want to keep you safe, because we want to keep your family safe, because this is important to us. And so I think just that motherly instinct in me has really come through on this pandemic. And the second thing that was really challenging was getting a community college for Erie County. and the public fight that happened around this community college. And I just want to say that you had to persevere, and sometimes you just have to step back and you have to look at other alternatives, and we did that. And we had good conversations around that. And sometimes you might get to the end zone in a different way than you thought. In the end, we got the community college for this community, but I learned a lot, and I think I met a lot of great people, and I think there'll be some great relationships forged from that. So don't, I guess, get discouraged if you don't get there on the first try. Keep on trying, and you'll find new ways to get to your goal.
And Councilperson Clear, what have you faced that you didn't expect, and what best prepared you to handle it?
Definitely, the pandemic is number one. I never in my wildest dreams did I think that we would be where we are right now in this county, in this state, in this world. And, you know, I think a few things actually have influenced my ability to kind of persevere through this period. And one of them is definitely being a teacher. Every moment something changes as a teacher and you respond accordingly. There is never, ever any day that is the same as the last. So I think that being able to respond and adapt has been one of the things that I have had throughout my life. I had a daughter that was diagnosed with cancer when she was 2 years old, and she's now a thriving 12-year-old, thank goodness. But that situation in my life, where all of life just absolutely stopped for almost 2 years for my family, I think helped me deal with this pandemic. I had to stop everything, and I had to sterilize everything. We didn't see people. We didn't go anywhere. And that actually helped me understand what the county residents were going through. I felt like I was able to understand what they needed. And I was able to act accordingly on council to do so. And we put some things in place with the county executive, and we've really been able to make a difference in the community.
Okay, thank you. And Director Lyons, what has helped prepare you for your career?
So there's no surprise that you might expect me to say that the pandemic is by far the hardest thing I've done. Prior to the pandemic, Peace Corps, Cameroon, West Africa, was the hardest thing I had ever done. I needed to navigate a community, learning a different language, learning a different culture, living without electricity, living without running water, not having access to vehicles, no technology. And so I thought that was the hardest work I'd ever done. The pandemic had, as a public health practitioner, we attend sessions, we do education, we are planning all of the time. We've talked about a pandemic. We know that it was going to happen. I had hoped it would never happen in my career. And so interestingly enough, I draw from my strength out of Peace Corps, knowing that I survived that, and actually came out very enlightened and inspired to do more. And so I am looking forward to how this pandemic will teach me to grow and enlighten me to do something even greater beyond a pandemic. So ideally, I would say the courage, the perseverance, all of those really great inspirational words that have been provided to you, that's exactly what it takes as you navigate your way into the career that you want to be doing.
And Mr. Smith, what faced you that you did not expect, and how were you prepared for it?
Well, I never expected that I would wake up this year and find myself to be the most experienced person in my office. When I started, I had a group of 7 council persons who had been around for 10, 20, 30 years. And they taught me a lot, and it was like that for about the first 10 years I was in the position. And we've had change over the last 10 years, and just recently, as Mrs. Clear indicated, we had 3 new council members come in. And so I've gone to much more of a role of teaching and reinforcing the tenets that I was taught when I first started. And so I guess I'm blessed that I was a good student when I had the chance to be, because on some days I'm in the role of a teacher. and that can be difficult too, because it's a bigger responsibility, and it's can be challenging, because these folks that I serve, they are my supervisors, and so it gets down to being able to tread lightly and share without being stepping beyond my position, I'll say. So it's a very interesting situation these days for me. And throw in a presidential election where the country is so thoroughly at opposite ends of the spectrum, it seems, that every day I hear something new, a new request for information justifying why we do what we do. Lawsuits now, I think we're up to 2 or 3 from major parties, and I really expect that those lawsuits will probably continue after the election. So it's a matter of continuing in these circumstances and doing the best one can, and being sure about the decisions we make and making sure they're principled, and so that when the time comes, we're able to answer that question, why. And so I guess all these experiences, again, it's another situation where life's experiences come into play, and even when I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, I can fake it till I make it. Thanks.
And thank you for participating in today's Erie County Government panel. For those students that are either in the classroom or watching this from home on Zoom, we look forward for you to join us for our next panel, which will be on the state government. Thank you.